Hi everyone and welcome to the Friday Quick Fix. Now some of you may already know, but if you don't, my patrons get the option to come and request tutorial suggestions for YouTube, which means they just get that little bit more ownership over the content we create on YouTube as well as Patreon. But one of them asked me today for a flower called Blue Morning Glories. Have you heard of it? Well, I hadn't. And then I saw a picture of it and it looked suspiciously like bindweed. Now, bindweed is the scourge of our garden. We are trying everything we can to get rid of it. And in fact, I've got one right here. Okay, here we go. So you see this flower? That is the bindweed flower. And to be honest, it's quite pretty. But it's absolutely choking a lot of the plants in our garden. So we tend to try to get rid of it. And when I looked a little bit closer, it turns out that Blue Morning Glory is also known as blue bindweed. So anyway, let's celebrate this rather evasive flower and go, well, it's a pretty colour and that's good enough for the Friday Quick Fix, isn't it? So grab your paints and let's get started. It's a shame this flower is such a pest because it's amazing. I think it's really gorgeous. It reminds me of sort of ballerina skirts, or it's got a sort of meringue-like feel to it. So these are the white bindweed flowers that terrorise the plants in our garden, and the hedge is just full of this rope-like twist. So I thought it would actually be, it's a really nice one to paint and perfect and quick for a Friday Quick Fix. But even better is it turns out there are blue ones as well. So Blue Morning Glory, we want to wake up cobalt blue deep, but also there is an element of the white flower. Just get these back in shot so you can have a look at them. So we need buff titanium, a little bit of sap green, I think, and a tiny bit of Payne's grey. And look how dominant Payne's grey is. So we need to just knock that back with water, and then we can just take a little bit in a separate well, start again almost, and just take a small amount. There we go. That's the kind of amounts I'm talking. And if you knock that back with enough water, you get a lovely pale greeny grey that's going to work really well as the white. Okay, so I've got my filbert brush here, which I think is going to work quite nicely, and I'm going to take some cobalt blue deep, and I'm going to begin by sort of creating a flower like that, really, really simple. And then if I take my size 8 brush and just sort of stretch it around, and that looks like a bit of a mess, but you'd be amazed at actually how much that looks like the middle of one of these. And then I'm just going to sort of soften the colour inwards. Oh, we've got a little friendly ant on the page. Okay, and that's going to be the kind of beginning of this nice loose flower. So for anyone who feels like loose watercolour flowers are pesky blobs, well, look, we all start with a bit of a pesky blob, don't we? Okay, so I want a little bit of a purpley tone as well, but I'm going to take a bit of more concentrated cobalt blue deep and get a bit of French ultramarine as well. And now just sort of pronounce these edges just with a little sort of flick of the brush, a little sort of S curve And then the last colour, I just want to drop a dab of cadmium yellow in there. Whilst that's going, just a little bit of the purple, imperial purple, in there. So let's do that again. You don't necessarily have to do it like this, but I just find it a helpful way of sort of making sense of this flower. So you join together those things quite loosely, and then with a clean wet brush I'm just going to sort of soften the middle a little bit. I would love to see these in real life, because like I'm a sort of closet fan of bindweed, but I'm not really you're not really meant to be a fan of bindweed. You're meant to want to get rid of it. I've always thought it was really pretty. And there we go. Now let's do a sort of trumpet from the side, shall we? So I'll take my filbert brush again. And we'll get that trumpet begun. So join it up, soften it. We've not used any of our white yet, have we? Maybe we don't need it. Ah, we do need it. There we go, we need it. And I quite like the idea of creating unpainted space with that as well. Creating that white. Gonna pop a few more in, and then we can join it all together with a few loose watercolour twists of a stem. Okay, so I've got a range of greens here, and the first thing I'm going to do is create the sepals around the base of this side-on flower. So I'm using all three greens. I'll do that up here as well. And then, remember this, we're just going to have a little bit of fun with a few twisty stems. And try and mix up your greens so that you can sort of almost differentiate them a little. And then there's all the other stems that come off these. And then we can just pop in some sort of smaller leaves. For the little ones, and then maybe a few slightly larger leaves down the bottom, so I'll get a larger brush and we can see that they sort of fan out into a heart shape, but a lot of them look like that from the side. Where's my larger brush? So this has just been one of those nice little sort of play arounds, really. Also good to sort of see what you can do with one of the larger brushes when using its fine point. And just adding more and more and more twisty leaves and stems of the bindweed. So there we go. That is a nice loose and simple way of painting some bindweed, but this time we're using the blue Morning Glory because it's just a little bit more exciting from a colour point of view. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick fix, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!